What is the most f***ed up thing a person you know has done?
Before we begin with the first story, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us.
Number 20. It was the night my parents broke up. They just had a massive argument and my dad was pissed, so he went out to get drunk. Later that night, he hit 2 blokes over the head with a star picket and stabbed another in one of his testicles. Even after telling me that, he says there's shit he's done he'll never tell a soul. Even after that, he only got 3 months in jail simply because of my pop's reputation, at least that's what my dad thinks. Even he still can't believe it.
Number 19. My senior year of high school, I lived with my now wife in a cabin in northern Michigan near 3 other cabins. My best friend lived in one of the other cabins. One day, he broke into all the cabins and stole random things. The other tenants called the cops. He was picked up in town a few days later and put in the back of the police car. The cop wasn't in the car, so he kicked out the back window of the cop car, got into the driver's seat, and tried running over 3 police officers. He managed to actually lose the police and fled to Georgia. While in Georgia, he met a girl and moved into the house she was living in with her aunt. For reasons I don't know, he and his girlfriend killed her aunt by strangling and beating her, buried her in the backyard, and came back to Michigan. He was arrested shortly afterward by Michigan police for his crimes here, where it was discovered that they were the only suspects in the murder of the girl's aunt. He was extradited back to Georgia, where he is serving life without parole. She got like 15 years. This was back in 2002.
Number 18. My mom cheated on my dad with his own uncle. Several people, including my grandma and his friends, had walked in on them, but nobody wanted to tell him because they were newlyweds and I was just born. When my dad would go to work, my mom would go up to his uncle's apartment, who lived right above them. My dad didn't believe his friend who told him this was going on. He only believed it once his uncle came down to their apartment all pissed off because my mom was sleeping with another guy too. My uncle said it was happening to my dad's face. My mom, to this day, completely denies it. My dad's uncle ended up killing himself a few years later after a police chase where he was about to be arrested for threatening a woman with a gun.
Number 17. My uncle is a real piece of shit. The scummiest human being I believe I will ever know. The most f***ed up thing he's done is actually a cycle that he's repeated far too many times. Start a family, then run. He'll convince these women he's a good guy / has changed / is a victim / was in the wrong place a wrong time, or whatever. Gets them pregnant, and f***ing leaves once the baby is out. And then to leave, he's always desperate for money. So he does something shitty to family members to get out of there. Steal my dad's identity, opens new credit cards, attempts to transfer bank card to his name, and drains it. Take a business loan with his first son, take it all, and dip. To top it all off, sometimes he goes back to the women after the kid is popped out to manipulate them into fucking again. Bro has been in and out of jail his whole life, and I wish that fucker would just sit in there and rot. Every couple of years I have strangers fucking reaching out, saying they're part of Aaron's family with so and so, and they want to meet their extended family, and we're like, who the fuck is so and so? You hate Aaron? Yeah, us the fuck too. Welcome to the family. I know 3 mothers fucking Aaron Juniors with different moms named after the same douchebag. To my knowledge, he's up to 5 families. 3 of those have 2 kids. 0 of those kids he raised. He's currently missing, so following the cycle, he's gonna fucking pop up again soon, with some woman, either pregnant or with child, and be like, OMG, I got my life together fam. Come here, let's be friends. Then do some slimy shit to try to get money from someone. Aaron, you fucking suck. Piece of shit.
Number 16. He slept with his son's long-term girlfriend. Like his son's first love.
told his son that it was no big deal. He told us about it at work and said his son was being a bit of a bitch about it. We then watched his life fall apart as both his kids cut him out of their lives. The dude found out he became a grandpa from his older daughter via an email with no pictures. As you can imagine, sleeping with his son's GF was the worst thing I'm aware of that he's done, but he was a horrible person generally speaking.
Number 15. Guy that used to beat the shit out of my mom. The guy who raped my sister. Matt A., 21 years old, got a sophomore in HS pregnant that I was in school with. Matt was a friend of my older stepbrother. Matt holds a big party, with loads of HS kids, and he starts making a big ruckus to draw attention to himself outside arguing with the HS girl he put his seed in. When the crowd was 15-ish people large, he kicked her so hard in the abdomen to cause the miscarriage. She was only like 6 to 8 weeks pregnant, but the trauma was enough to get the result he wanted. F***ing prick.
Number 14. Shot 8 of my, and his, friends to death. I was friends with him and his wife, mostly her, but they separated and were filing for divorce. One evening, he got angry and super drunk and went to her new home where she was having a football watching party, and he opened fire on everyone, including his own friends. 2 were in his wedding as groomsmen. He collected a lot of guns, so he had plenty at his disposal. Slaughtered just about everyone that was there at the time. The neighbors said you could smell the gunpowder in the air he shot so many times. I was invited to her party but opted out because it was on a Sunday night and I didn't want to drink at the party and then have to drive 40 minutes home. It saved my life. He received death by a cop once the first officer arrived. He wasn't dropping his weapons and was about to shoot at the officer. I don't trust people, but now I don't trust my own gut. I never thought he'd be capable of something that atrocious. Makes me question my own decision-making when it comes to making friends.
Number 13. In the late 1990s, a guy in my fantasy football league was arrested for molesting his kids. He made his wife participate as well as the family pet. Real sick stuff. Creeped the rest of us out when we found out.
Number 12. My cousin was killed because a guy decided he'd kill himself by flooring it into another car on a major road. My cousin died, and his girlfriend had to undergo multiple extensive surgeries. The guy survived with minor injuries. Edit. I tried telling myself what you all are, that they weren't thinking rationally. I've been suicidal myself since I was young, so I get that. But they told EMS their intent until they found out someone else died, and then they suddenly stopped talking. They then milked the living hell out of that narrative, and how unstable they were throughout the trial, and how he didn't mean to do it. You can decide you're done with your own life, even if it's a sad and tragic conclusion. But you don't get to decide someone else is done with theirs.
Number 11. My brother had a friend whose wife had left him. My brother and his friend got high and came up with the brilliant idea to win her back. The plan was for the friend to pretend to hang himself while my brother ran to the wife's house and begged her to come and stop him. Then she would see how much he loved her and they would get back together. So they position him in a barn with a noose around his neck. My brother runs to get his wife, only she isn't even home. My brother goes back to the barn and the guy really did hang himself. My brother is so high, he doesn't even think to cut him down.
This is such a high-quality, three-dimensional, gigabrain joke.
Number 10. I was getting out of the army and had put back over $70,000 for a home for my family. My mother got my banking information and took every penny for drugs. When I tried suing, my family disowned me.
Number 9. I was friends with a girl who was obsessed with babies. You know how some girls really like horses? She was like that with babies. Not kids, just babies and toddlers. She was only friends with me because I babysat a lot. I found out later she would take used diapers out of the ladies' bathroom.
Number 8. My friend was in her final year of uni. had strong grades, and a really great internship lined up with a place she dreamed about working at that almost certainly would have led to a great job. Her parents faked her younger brother's death on the day when she had 3 finals back to back to back. They wanted to test whether she cared more about her family or her career, supposedly. She raced home in panic and grief, getting plane tickets and flying across the country, trying to get deferred exams on short notice. One of her profs, who helmed 2 of those classes, required a death certificate, which she couldn't get since her brother was alive and well. She didn't get to graduate because of that, at least not in that semester, and she lost her dream internship. Thankfully, she got a good job after graduating half a year later, not nearly as good as the one she lost out on, and she's largely cut her parents out of her life.
Number 7. Kid I, 25M, used to be friends with in high school, let's call him Jake, got into benzodiazepines around junior year. He had stolen some Xanax from a drug dealer, and the dealer showed up at his house to take the drugs back. Jake, barred out of his mind and scared of getting beat up by the drug dealer, swung an axe at the drug dealer, sticking it directly into his skull. Drug dealer lived, and even took a selfie, which got passed around school, of him with blood all over his face and the axe stuck in his skull. Both ended up going to juvie, I believe.
Number 6. I finally have an answer for askreddit. I work for a gardening company, and we have guys come and go on the regular. One guy we'll call Mike, because that's his name, worked for us for a while and built up a relationship with one of the customers, Wilfred, name changed to protect the innocent. Anyway, Wilfred was around 90 years old and a veteran of World War II. He was also completely blind. He had this old BMW sitting in his cluttered garage. The thing looked like it hadn't moved in a couple of decades. The car was his pride and joy in his younger days, and he would tell anyone who would listen about how he used to drive himself and his wife to the local town to go dancing. Anyway, Mike told Wilfred he would take the car home and fix it up and bring it back when it was all sorted. It was decided if he could get the old girl purring again, Wilfred would pay Mike a pretty penny. What Mike actually did was drive it straight to a scrapyard, sell it for scrap value, then lie through his teeth every time Wilfred asked about it. No, he wasn't fired. So yeah, I think that's the most disgusting thing I have seen anyone do. Steal from a blind old man.
Number 5. So, I used to work for this company back before smartphones were a big thing. People would text or call in questions and guides would look up answers for them online, or even sometimes call a business to ask the question for them and text back their answer. We'd get requests for phone numbers, addresses, operating hours, stuff like that. Sometimes, they'd ask ridiculous questions and things obviously meant to shock guides. But this one guy, he would call in and ask when specific daycares in and around a specific city took out their trash. And he wanted to know if they threw diapers out separate from the other trash. I don't remember how it all came out, but it turns out this guy was going through daycare dumpsters and making what he called squish dolls. As in, he stuffed used diapers into baby clothes and, I don't know, cuddled with them or some weird shit. He even had an online blog with pictures of his creations and would describe how they felt and smelled. It was so effed up.
Number 4. The brother of a girl I dated years ago almost hacked his ex-girlfriend to death with a machete, and then tried to kill himself by overdosing. They both survived, and I believe he's still in prison.
Number 3. My friend's dad stabbed his wife in a heated argument and blew up their house while he, Dad, was still inside. Heard the explosion from my own bedroom. Luckily my friend and his sister were elsewhere. The local newspaper articles were hauntingly graphic about it.
Number 2. During my time studying the psychology of pedophilia, I came across someone who claimed that having sex with my little sister is my right given to me by God. I honestly believe it was bait. However, I kept tabs on them, and after a while or so he sent a video to a group chat with some other people, and it was him, in fact, raping his baby sister. I won't get graphic, however, it still bothers me to this day what I saw. Last I heard of him, he got picked up on counts of statutory rape, distribution of CP, prolonged sexual abuse of a minor below the age of 12, and possession of meth. Since then, I reported all the people in that chat room and gave what little I had to the authorities. Haven't heard anything since. Edit. Guess I should clarify that the group chat in question was a publicly available Discord server meant for survivors of sexual abuse. This entire ordeal took place within 2 hours and multiple accounts. He, and everyone who agreed with him, were all reported to the FBI's anonymous tip-off page. While probably useless, better than nothing.
Number 1. I found out a teenage girl at my church and her 2 sisters were being molested by their stepdad. I called the police and reached out to the girl's parents who always brought her to church. They already knew and hadn't said anything. Eventually, I found out a dozen people, including their mother, knew, but they all preferred it to be handled by the church. Edit. The stepdad was a Christian pastor. Also, it's scary how many people have commented about having similar experiences.
Thank you for watching. If you like to watch more of these videos, please leave a thumbs up, comments, subscribe. And don't forget to share to your friends and family. I'll see you in the next video.